Parliament?
Well, we are on.
You look very reserved when you are not addressing a press conference or leading the charge to go and find out why an hospital has been closed. Is that your nature?
I'm laughing because I get this a lot. And there are people who have asked me the difference between when I'm on the platform, whether on screen, whether on the field, and when I am myself, like my private self. But that's me. I believe that if you are given a responsibility, you must do and do it well. That's my belief.
What is your political career? What does it look like? Where did it start from?
Okay, so let me take this opportunity to say good morning to your viewers. And then just about coming on set, I heard it is the birthday of my national chairman.
Right.
So let me wish him, a happy birthday. Johnny, I started politics very early whilst I was in the university. And so from the constituency, I started engaging in constituency politics. Then somewhere in the third year in the university, around 23 years, I became the deputy regional youth organizer of the then Western region.
Okay.
Yeah, the then Western
At that
region.
young age?
Yes, at that age. And so at the age 27, I became the substantive youth organizer for the then Western region. Then after that, I moved to the National Service Secretariat, and I worked at the voluntary department for some time.
Right.
Then I went back to the constituency, I contested the primaries, and then I won, and I became a candidate for my party in the Dwaboso constituency.
Right.
And I contested the 2012 elections, and by God's grace, I won.
Interesting.
So I came to Parliament around at the age of 32. The year 2015, I was made a Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources.
Okay.
I contested again in 2016. By God's grace, my people renewed my mandate. So when I came to Parliament after, that is in 2017, I was made the Deputy Ranking Member on Lands and Forestry.
Okay.
On Lands and Forestry. So getting to the latter part of the 7th Parliament, I was made a substantive Ranking Member on the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health.
Right.
Then 2020, I contested and then I won. So when I came back, they maintained me as the ranking member on Parliamentary Select Committee on Health. So that has been a journey.
How many committees do you serve on now?
For now, subsidiary legislation and then health.
Okay, interesting. You're a farmer. Not many people know that.
Oh, okay.
Why do you farm?
Okay, so I was born by a farmer and I was born into a farming community and I've become the representative of farmers because my constituency is the highest, production of cocoa in the whole country. Dwaboso constituency. It's predominantly cocoa farmers.
Okay.
Okay, and so...
You're the cocoa basket of Ghana.
Yes, the Western North. Unfortunately, the cocoa sector is dying. And
Why do you say that?
Oh, if you look at what's happening in the cocoa sector for now, in the 2021-2022 crop year, we targeted about 800,000 metric tons, and now we are somewhere around 400 metric tons. 400 metric tons. You know, the disheartening aspect is that they came to Parliament to seek for approval for the syndicated loan, which was around $1.3 billion, and we approved the money. We were targeting 800 metric tons. Okay. Now we are somewhere around 400 metric, yet we don't have money to buy cocoa.
Where's the money?
I don't know.
Have you asked?
Well, we've asked several times, and we are not being given any tangible explanation. So if you go to my constituency, for example, as I speak to you, the farmers may have the cocoa beans, but they may not have access to money. This is the reality because Cocoa Board is owing a lot of the LBCs, the cocoa buying companies. So, there are a lot of challenges in the cocoa sector as I speak to you now. And so I did a lot of cocoa, I do cocoa, but now what I'm into is the production of rice. Okay. So from land preparation through harvesting to processing of the rice to packaging and marketing.
You do all of that?
I do all.
Okay.
I do all. In Ghana, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How come nobody knows about it?
Oh, few people know. There are some cocoa companies who buy from me. FDA buys from me. Some mining companies buy from me. They place order, and then I plant it myself. Okay. And I process it myself.
You plant
and it is.
How do you make time for it? You're supposed to be busy in Parliament.
Yes, and so you have to manage all these things well. Okay, we have farm managers. We have, if you go to the processing centers, I have 2 processing centers. I have one at the Akuse and then I have one in the Western North. So we have people doing all this. Once a while, I'll go around and then go and check all
Let's go back
things.
to the cocoa conversation. So you come from a predominantly cocoa
Cocoa
growing
growing area, yeah.
What do they tell you? You know this from Parliament, syndicated loan, all of that, 400,000 metric tons instead of the 800,000. But when you go to the constituency, what do they tell you?
So you see, the cocoa farmers are really, really, really struggling. They are suffering. And it explains why just about a few months ago, I had to organize a package for tertiary institutions in my constituency. So one, the cocoa trees are actually dying. And you know, as a country, sometimes I weep inside me. It looks as though we don't have a vision. You know, the cocoa used to be in the Ashanti region. It moved to the eastern region, to the Brong-Ahafo region, to the Western North region. So it means that if you don't have a clear-cut policy, it will die off within that area. So now it is in the Western North area, and it is dying. If you go to the area, if I'm not exaggerating, about 40% of the cocoa trees in that area are dead.
Due to?
Well, diseases and what have you. So it is the responsibility of Cocoa Board not to sit aloof and spend the money, but then to investigate all these issues and find antidote to it. But unfortunately, that's the hard truth. So they are suffering. They used to get free fertilizers. They are no more getting free fertilizers. Now, even the chemicals they will have to get to spray their cocoa farms, to some extent.
Is this situation going to lead to people, for example, giving up their lands?
Oh yes, yes. It has already not going to. No. It has already. No. Johnny, it has already led into that. If you go to some of these areas, they have given their land for people to do galamsey. That's how bad it is. You know, and other things. So the cocoa industry, anybody who tells you that the cocoa industry is good, as I speak to you, I am coming from a cocoa growing area. My constituency shares borders with La Côte d'Ivoire. Last year, and we don't like speaking the truth. When people were jumping in this country, that we had gotten about 900,000 metric tons last year, I told them, wait a minute, I live along the border. It is price disparity. If you shift towards Ghana, Côte d'Ivoire will bring it to Ghana. This is what has been happening along the border.
But we just celebrate Chocolate Day and Cocoa Week.
Yes, if you go to the cocoa growing areas, for example, you ask them, the farmers, how many of them have even tasted chocolate before. Meanwhile, this government came to Parliament and brought a loan facility, millions of Ghana cedis. You know what they said they were going to use it for?
Tell me.
To teach people how to consume chocolate.
How much was it?
Well, I need to get the figures for you.
I know that the president promised, for example, a
yes.
warm cup of
cocoa
drink and a bar of chocolate for the children.
It has never happened. You see, that is a characteristic of this government. You know, they promise one thing and do the direct opposite. They promise one thing and do the direct opposite. They promise giving every school child, at least one cup of chocolate every day. Where is it? So the cocoa industry, I'm afraid, it's not good.
You plant rice, lived in a cocoa growing area. Is it your view that we have paid attention to agric in terms of growing our economy from that perspective?
Not at all. In my humble opinion, if we dedicate a little time for the agric sector, it should be able to transform our economy. That is my humble opinion. You see, Johnny, we hear this middle income status all the time, and yet it's not trickling down to our grassroots people because of a reason. You know, if you go into our books, you see monies coming from the oil sector, money from the gold, and what have you. Most of these monies are repatriated to other countries because the people who are directly involved in these sectors are not Ghanaians. So you see that the books will look good, but the people in the country will be suffering. I'll give you a typical example.
Okay.
Do you remember that those days, if you hear that cocoa money has come, everybody look good?
Right.
Do you remember?
Right.
It's no more the case.
Jubilation.
Exactly. Whether you are a cocoa farmer or not, because the money is trickling down, it will have a positive effect on you.
Now where's the money hanging?
Well, so you see, because these monies are repatriated, okay, it doesn't trickle down and we don't get the effect. Inclusive growth is missing. Now, if you concentrate on the agric sector, because the farmer planting the maize is a Ghanaian, about 95 or 99% of the money is staying in the country.
Right.
Rice, the money is staying in the country. You know, so if you concentrate a bit on the agric sector, we'll be able to change the narrative. And we are always interested in sloganeering, planting for food and jobs, whilst it doesn't exist. Johnny, I sit here and I tell you, I'm a farmer myself.
Right.
If you
Do you
talk
get
about
any benefit from government?
not at all. In fact, you see, let me tell you, Ghana government, as I speak to you now, they have no single policy for commercial farmers in this country. Single one, not two. And I challenge the minister responsible for agri to come and refute this.
There's no policy
no
for
single policy for commercial farmers in this country. How can you go as a
So
country
if
like
you
that?
want to venture into agri,
You are at your
on
own.
your own.
Yes, I am telling you. In fact, the subsidized fertilizers to whether maize farmers or rice farmers is not applicable to commercial farmers. And if you want
But
to
why
grow,
is that?
well, that's them. And if you want to grow as a country, why wouldn't you have policies for the commercial farmers? Today, Johnny, may God forbid, if something happens in this country and we are unable to import food, and that we should depend on foods we produce in this country, we cannot survive for more than 1 week. And this is the national security concern.
This is very serious.
Yes. Go ask the buffer stock, even if they have one bag of grain in stock.
Now,
Yes, now. Well, even the grains they need to feed the school feeding program is a problem. It's a challenge. I'm a practitioner in the sector.
that if we decide not to import
Food. In fact, we are importing even cassava. We import onions. And then the president says what? That we are net exporter of food. The president is not on top of his issues.
It means that the agri minister perhaps is not telling him what.
But they are always misleading him. This is not the first time. We are importing more than 950,000 metric tons of rice every year in this country. We are importing cassava. We are importing onion. And you are telling me you are what? You see, get a distinction. There are expatriates who are in this country, who are farming, okay? And then they export their produce directly.
Okay.
Without selling even, any of their produce in this country, even if there's a need as a country for it. There are few of them. But what we are importing into this country is more than what we produce as a country. And these are the realities.
Interesting. Let's get back into your constituency. I know that there are some projects that you have embarked on. Let's quickly deal with that and get back into Parliament. What are the key projects, for example, that you're using to scratch the people where they itch?
Okay, so now my constituency is a rural constituency. So we have a lot of needs. Okay, so it's a scattered one. It's a very big area. The communities are very, very small ones. And then wherever you go, they have some needs. Health facilities, schools, and what have you. So what I do, basically, for example, from 2017 till date, with my little common fund, the National Health Insurance Fund, and the common fund that we get, which is supposed to be an emergency fund. Okay. But you see, if you come from the kind of constituency I come from, you have to make good use of these monies to benefit the people. Because if you don't take care, at the end of your tenure of office, people will ask you, what did you do?
Right.
So from 2017 till now, I have constructed not less than 5 chips compounds.
Okay.
Yes, Antobia, Shemiha, Adekrum, New Somenya, and Sanyano. So all these chips are in operations except there's Sanyano one.
Okay.
We are yet to commission it. And so all these ones are in operation just to bring the healthcare to the doorsteps of the people.
Okay.
So from 2017 till now.
That's what you have been doing.
That's what I've been doing. Okay. And then in some cases, I construct classroom blocks. If you go to Abrokofe, for example, I constructed about 4-unit classroom block there. If you go to Ajimadiem, about 2-unit classroom for the kindergarten and nursery. And so water here, water there. Sometimes even you have to use part of your money.
It must put a lot of pressure on you.
Yes, so
these
much.
are what? What are these ones?
Okay, so this one is Adekrum chip compound. That's one we're commissioning, I believe so. But the other one, I think I was in the church. Yes, this one, I was in the church.
You're very religious.
Okay, so when I go to the constituency, sometimes I go through churches on Sundays.
Okay.
I move from one, especially when there are issues I must explain to the people.
Okay.
So this one,
so this is your mini town hall meetings that you do.
Yes, sometimes when I go to the, I like going to the people more than the people coming to me.
What kind of weight that do these projects and these meetings have on your pocket?
So very much, because you see, if you are a member of parliament in a rural constituency, you are seen as everything. If you are there, I mean, almost every program, once you are available, you are the chairman. If anybody has a problem, he will run to the member of parliament.
Right.
Okay, so as for the challenges, not until I stopped going to parliament, I do not want to go to details of those ones.
I see.
But I mean, that is what we say we will do. My father keeps telling me that, look, you saw all the professions and you decided to be a politician to go to parliament, so you have to endure.
I see.
So I'm not complaining.
Let's go to parliament now. How has it been this year?
Okay, so this parliament is a unique one. As we all know, it's a hung parliament, 137, one independent candidate. And so you see, the whole essence of parliament should be consensus building.
Okay.
But you see, because of the nature of democracy we are practicing, you know, you have some members of parliament who find themselves in the executive. Okay, so if you have the majority, it has always become more or less like being dictated by the majority in parliament. It is not supposed to be the case.
Right.
Okay, but this parliament has come to give the real meaning to consensus building. Okay, and there has been a lot of one or two interesting, issues.
Okay.
Issues about the e-levy, issues about the Sputnik. That's been very interesting.
You heard the Supreme Court yesterday.
Yes, I did.
What do you think?
I was not surprised.
That-
And for me, I have stated, it's my humble opinion. If an MPP person shouts to you, let's go to the Supreme Court, let's go to the court, don't waste your time. He knows what he's doing and he knows what he's saying.
That's scandalous.
Well, I have not, that's my humble opinion. I have not
that if an
scandalized
MPP
anybody.
person tells you to go to court.
Let's go to court. Don't waste your time. With my experience,
Because-
7-0, I will not waste my time. That's mean. You may disagree with me. You're entitled to it. That's one. Yesterday, I was not surprised. I must be very honest with you. But I was disappointed. Johnny, we have a country to protect. We have a democracy to protect. If even in the law-making process, you do not have to fix yourself in a position because the tables can turn at any given period. Today, you think because you are an MPP and you are hard-pressed, you need numbers, you are jubilating. The tables can turn tomorrow and you'll be crying. And that's why when you are making laws, you must be open-minded. You understand? And it is, we have three arms of government.
That's right.
And we owe it as a duty, okay, to act in the interest of the people. And the people must see us as such. That's number one. Johnny, when I heard the ruling, in fact, I must be honest with you, I was the first person to go and whisper it to leadership.
Okay.
When we were on the floor of the House.
When you heard it.
When I heard it. So some people expressed shock and I didn't. Look, if you look at the ruling, now, I know you've heard this saying that Parliament, we are the masters of our own rules.
That's right.
And it is not only a saying, but Article 110 has given it a meaning and a constitutional backing that we have the right to regulate our own procedures in Parliament.
But whatever regulations you put in must be in tandem with the 1992
Not a problem at
Constitution.
all. Not a problem at all. And there's absolutely nothing in our standing orders that is in contradiction to the Constitution.
Well, yesterday the court,
What
the
is
Supreme
contradiction?
Court,
If there's an omission,
didn't
or
agree with you.
if there's an omission, or if there's a gray area, or if you think that our Constitution is silent on something, it's not a contradiction. It's not. And so that is why you have given us the mandate to make our own rules. What are the rules? The rules are dictated by our standing orders. Okay? So for me, in my humble opinion, I see it as an interference for the judiciary now to strike out our rules in Parliament, our rules, that we have the
think they are
power.
interfering?
Of course. That's my humble opinion.
how would that affect the morale in Parliament?
Well, since yesterday, I have heard, number of members of Parliament who are disappointed. Because clearly, for me, in my humble opinion, you see, the law must make sense.
Your leader says, for example, this is a judicial endorsement.
He couldn't
of
have said it.
The controversial
He couldn't
e-levy.
have said it any
You
better.
agree?
I agree. And this whole thing is about e-levy because they need the numbers so badly. This whole thing. Have you ever seen or heard in this country that is a deputy speaker presiding wants to vote? It is because you think that if they had more than 140 members of parliament, they would have, gone through these processes. No, it is about e-levy. The president of the country has not heard whatever Ghanaians are saying. No. He is resolute. He thinks that he must by all means pass the e-levy. So they are taking whatever route, whether it will bring hardship to the people of this country, discomfort or whatever. That is not the direction.
Do you see another brawl happening in Parliament?
Well, I have no comment on that.
You won't comment?
No.
But would you resist the e-levy?
We will resist it with all our might.
I see. You have also been on the case of the health minister. You're asking questions and you're asking for accountability. Sheikh Al Maktoum is here, Sputnik V there. You championed the call for a bipartisan probe. You took interest in it. How did that matter end?
Okay, so let me state it on this platform that I have absolutely nothing or any personal problem with the minister responsible for health. And as I told you, I mean, in the beginning of my submission, that I believe, because I come from the village, I'm a village boy.
Right.
And so when you are given a responsibility, you must do and do it well. So it's a responsibility I am performing. Yesterday, I was not the ranking member on health.
All right.
Today, I am the ranking member on health. I may not be the ranking member on health tomorrow. So today, what is expected of me, I'll try within my means to do it. That's the first one.
Okay.
What really happened was that we had a suspicion that the government has turned the whole COVID situation into, if you like, cash cow. They were milking the situation instead of fighting the pandemic. So they were grabbing money here, money there. Okay, so we made an application that we wanted to set up a bipartisan probe into some of these, the purchases of some of these, vaccines.
Okay.
And so the House admitted the motion, we debated, committee was constituted, and we sat in public as you monitored. And so for me, when we sat in public, I thought that the president, by the end of even the hearing, would have done the needful by firing the minister responsible for health.
He says he's the most vilified politician.
And so I was shocked when I saw the president actually making mockery of the committee and by extension Parliament in the minister's region.
Right.
I was so much disappointed. So we brought our report, and let me tell you, the content of the report was adopted by the committee on consensus.
Okay.
The content of the report was upheld or was accepted by the plenary or the chamber or the House by also consensus.
What was the consensus?
So, number one, I'll tell you a few issues as I can recollect. Number one, we found out that the agreement was of international nature.
Okay.
So they ought to have come to Parliament. Okay. Clearly in breach of Article 181.
Right.
That's no question about that. Now, we also found out that the price, the world market price of the Sputnik vaccine, as has been released by the manufacturers themselves, was not to be more than $10 per dose. And we realized that Ghana was buying it $19 per dose. Now, we asked the minister, even before the committee hearing, he had engaged the press and indicated that Ghana has not lost any money as far as that transaction is concerned.
That's right.
After our probe, we realized that some considerations were passed. As much as, in excess of 60 million Ghana cedis had been paid to the private office of Akando.
But they offered to refund it.
Yes, but the fact that you steal and then you bring back the item doesn't mean you have not stolen. So that argument doesn't arise at all. And so we realized that Ghana has paid about in excess of 60 million Ghana cedis to the private office. Right. So that was another thing that we found. We also realized that he was in clear breach of the Public Procurement Act. Clear breach, because they did sole sourcing and they needed the prior approval or permission of the Public Procurement Board authority, the board of the authorities permission. He didn't do that. In fact, he even entered into the agreement before writing to his own Attorney General. So there were clear breaches of the law.
So what's Parliament's eventual decision on
Okay,
on all
so
of this?
now, as I said, I thought that the president would have done the needful by firing him. The president, from all indications, he would never do it. And so we are also taking advantage of Article 82 of the 1982 Constitution, where we can bring a motion to censure the minister. Okay. And you require about 1/3 of the total number of members of parliament.
Right.
Fortunately enough,
are you going to get it?
Oh, we have, and we have notified Mr. Speaker. We are there. So it's not as if we are now going to start the process. We have started the process.
So there are some members of the majority who believe that, well, the health minister got it wrong, he must go.
If you talk to them, start talking to some of them, and they will tell you.
I see.
So the more reason why we even took that, I was encouraged to even, be part of that whole process is that as you walk or traverse the length and breadth of this country, people will ask you, so is the Minister for Health still at post? What is your answer? So as members of parliament, we will exhaust our procedure and then we'll leave the rest to posterity to judge all of us.
You have also been on the case of abandoned projects.
Yeah.
We'll come to that. But Agenda 111, when the president announced it, you should have been happy.
So you see, the abandoned project would then feed into the Agenda 111, but just like you have said, you know, if
were you happy when the president announced it? Agenda 88. And
the president, as I know him, the president, as I know him, it is because I know him, I was not happy because I knew it was not going to happen.
Oh, that's
because they
that's
say,
mistrust.
But do you trust the president, Johnny? You trust the president at your own risk, and he hasn't proven to any Ghanaian. Well, let me exclude the MPP people because as for them, but clearly per the records, he hasn't won the trust of many Ghanaians in this country. You say you do one district, one factory, where is it? You say you do one dam, one village, one dam, where is it? You say there are a lot of things that this president has said. And so from where I sit, because at the end of the day, they will bring the numbers to the committee. So I knew that the president, because as far back in 2020, when they brought the 2021 media review budget, they had spent about 600 million Ghana cedis in the name of Agenda 111, which of course at the time, no Agenda 111 site had even been commissioned. Check.
So what was the money used?
So up to now, we don't know. It was one of the reasons why we wanted to constitute a probe into the entire expenditure of COVID-19.
And how successful have you been? Okay,
so we are missing the issues now. I'll go back to Agenda 111, but let me also answer that one. Okay, so we brought the motion. The motion was in our dealings in Parliament. It is a prerogative of Mr. Speaker to admit
the motion.
A motion. We went through that. Mr. Speaker admitted the motion. It was advertised on the order paper, and the motion was moved, seconded, and debated per our standing orders. Once you get to that end, the Speaker has no option
than to put a question.
Okay. Was it in this case? Typical of Joe Wise, Joe Osei Usu, the first Deputy Speaker, he then ruled and threw the motion off. But I can assure you, we are not relenting on our effort because we need transparency. You see, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. If indeed this government is a transparent one, and we think that we need some kind of accountability, why must you run away? The president constituted COVID fund and made the formal CJ right, the chairperson of that fund.
Right.
Do you know, corporate Ghana individuals contributed to that particular fund. Right. Do you know how much we realized as a Ghanaian? Do you know what we used, how that money was expended as the representative of the people? I don't even have any idea. Even as a ranking member on the health committee.
It has not come before your committee?
No.
Interesting. No. Have you monitored the progress of Agenda 111?
So Agenda 111, back to Agenda 111. Now, it's very interesting.
I'm told our time is up, but let's quickly run through it. No. I want to hear from you. But lend us a little time. I want to hear from you.
So Agenda 111.
Whether you have taken interest in monitoring.
I will monitor every bit of Agenda 111. The revelations are shocking. Now, it's no more the ministry. In the 2021 budget, they came telling us that the ministry had awarded the contract. In 2022 budget, they said they are now looking for cadastral plans, something that was awarded in 20. Now we realize that the whole Ministry of Health was not in the picture. So there's a whole organogram. It sits at the presidency. They've gone to bring this company, and that company changed its name around 15 June 2020, and it was trading in general goods import and export. And then they included infrastructure on 15th June 2020. And then just around the same 2020, the government gave them that, I mean,
are you suggesting
project.
they didn't have capacity?
Oh, they
to
obviously
execute?
no. How can you give, I mean, a project such as Agenda 1, constructing about 111 hospitals to a company to supervise, and that company is barely a year old? How will you do this? And so there are a lot of how they even came about their procurement method. It's opaque. And the money involved, if you go to, you see, they said they had awarded 101 district hospitals. Now there should be money for it, isn't it?
Right.
Now, when the committee met, they explained to us that they needed about 5 million Ghana cedis to be able, 5 billion Ghana cedis to be able to execute that. Only in 2022. The money that was allocated to that project, Agenda 1 was 518 million Ghana cedis, not even up to 1 billion. Not even up to 1 billion.
So it's not up to what is required for the project.
No, and they told us that they were going to complete this project within 18 months.
Right.
How many months gone? How many of these sites have even, I mean, have a foundation or have excavation even done on their site?
So who should we be holding responsible, Mr. Ajimamenu or the president?
That is where the problem is. That is where the problem is. Now, it is no more the Ministry of Health supervising this project. Because in the case of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, when he was seeking to add about 6,000 beds, it was the Ministry of Health that was responsible. So you could call the minister to come and explain. Now, if you want to call somebody, you then have to ask who is responsible for this before you can even file a question.
I see. La General Hospital.
Okay, so La General Hospital was
quickly,
also...
and this is where we're doing extra time, so...
Yeah, so we are running, right?
La General Hospital.
So La General Hospital, too, you know, La General Hospital is at a very strategic position, serving, Osu, La, Teshi, and what have you. So it was awarded somewhere in 2020, and they were supposed to complete it by the August 2022. And as I speak to you now, I mean, the contract sum is around 68 euros, 68 million euros. Now, as I speak to you now, the last time we went there, there was only one trip of sand, one trip of gravels, and the site is even weedy.
But the minister told you at the vetting table that work had begun in earnest.
Yes, so that is why sometimes we go to some of these sites to verify for ourselves. So we took the press there. So you see, this government, they tell you one thing, and they do different things altogether. So as for the health sector, there are a whole lot of problems. As I speak to you now, National Health Insurance, okay, the service providers are threatening withdrawing their services because they've not been paid since July, more than 9 months.
But the health ministry would disagree with you.
No, they can't disagree. Let them come and disagree with me. Even per our laws, and I'll tell the National Health Insurance Act, the National Health Insurance Act 2012 says that, you know, Johnny, even if you buy water, you pay National Health Insurance levy.
That's right.
So it's not as if you are going for a loan, we are now going to look for the money to pump into National Health Insurance. So the money is there, it's been collected. The law says that once you collect the money, within 30 days, you must lodge the money into the National Health Insurance Fund. As I speak to you now, service providers have not been paid for more than 9 months, and let them come and dispute this. So very soon you hear that they are withdrawing their services. Meanwhile, COVID is not gone. That's how bad that sector is. We must begin to show interest in the health sector.
They said you let debt that they came to clear. Ajimamenu said it in 2017.
That's why, you see, that's why when you push him, he will not, excuse my language, he will not make sense. No, he can't convince anybody. Because the things they say to you people, they can't say to us because we have the documents. When I was coming here, I brought all the documents, but time is not permitting us. We have all the documents. Okay? You know that this money, COVID money that we are all struggling for, they use about 614 million for capitalization of development bank. How have you spent the money? In fact, in 2021,
that to start a bank.
Yes. In 2021, middle of the year, they had used 32 million Ghana cedis for meetings. They had used more than 207 million for paper tissue. Yes, paper tissue. I have all the figures here. That's how bad, I mean, they were milking the system.
You went into the Afari military hospital issues. You had a near face-off with some officers who were there.
Yeah.
What has happened? That's my final question to you. What has happened in that matter?
So we will keep doing our best. We don't hold the public purse, and we will do our best. So we went, we came back to Parliament, we called on government to expedite action on those projects, and some of them, you will be shocked if you go to Somenya, some of them have even been completed. completed though. We have ambulance on standby. We have equipment in them.
Ready for use.
Ready for use. But
what is holding it?
No, you ask the minister. He won't tell you anything. You know, I want to be very charitable. He won't tell you anything sensible.
Do you want him to go?
It's not mean. His work says so. His work says so.
Will you be Minister for Health?
And right. I don't like
it. If he calls you.
No.
You don't want to be Minister for Health?
I don't want to work with such a difficult person.
What about John Mahama? Will you be Minister for Health under John Mahama?
If we get there.
A Greek minister?
If we get there.
When you get there, you
anywhere His Excellency, if God permits, in 2025, the President of the Republic of Ghana, he calls me to assist him. And they have the capacity.
We're done with that conversation, but that's your camera. 1 minute for you. If you met President Akufo-Addo today, what will you tell him about the health sector? Oh, that
there is absolutely nothing working in the health sector, and therefore they must fix it. The strength of the staff of the Ghana health sector is dwindling. In fact, in 2021, it was around 251,000, around 251,000 in 2022 budget, and they are telling us that they are around 208,000. Clearly, it's dwindling, and nothing seems to be working in the health sector. So he must check his briefings from the health sector and begin to pay particular interest in the health sector, because you see, most of them, when they need healthcare, they travel outside the country, so they care less about what happens in this country. But one day, he will become, a former president. You will have relatives who depend on the health facilities we built in this country. And for me, in my humble opinion, health first. So more than we must spend at least 15% of our total budget on the health sector. As I speak to you now, we are doing less than 7% of it. And so the health sector is not good, and we must begin to pay attention to the health sector.
Thank you. Kwabena Minta Akando, consulting doctor is just sent me this one. 1 minute, please. He says, you spoke about the ambulance and the gentleman who lost his wife.
Yeah. Okay, that issue.
And you asked a question about it, and you even demanded that people should be interdicted.
Yes.
He says he has not heard anything. He's a consultant.
Okay.
30 seconds. I beg you.
So that issue has gotten to Parliament now. I saw Tuesday, other paper, they've advertised it. I'm going to move a motion for the House to accept that we constitute a bipartisan committee to probe into that particular issue. So I have not, when I take an issue, not until I get to the final destination, I will not.
So there will be help for that.
There will be help account, and there are a lot of questions. It's not only the ambulance, because Johnny, if you are at Fijai and you are referring a patient to Kolebu, whilst there's Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, there is Ifeanyi Kwanta Hospital, you must ask questions. So it's not only the ambulance. We need a whole probe to know the truth and try to find solutions. If indeed these two facilities don't have the capacity to to handle such conditions, then as a country we must be interested.
I hear you. Kwabena Minta Akando has been my guest. Is the MP for Jaboso. He says he's a farmer and he's a village boy. He's come to the city. He's ensuring that his people are smiling. He's raised key questions. I'm sure those in authority are listening. He's also the ranking member of the Health Committee. There's more entertainment here on New Day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.